and welcome back to Iron United for our transfer show. Yes, we are back again. The transfer window has not slammed shut because the EFL window doesn't slam shut until this Friday. So West Ham are still in the market for some signings, and of course we are bringing to you the skills, assists, their ability, what they potentially could bring to West Ham side who are in desperate need of strengthening their squad and numbers and challenging, bringing in players who can challenge for a first team spot. But of course, let's get started and let you know some of the latest news. Apparently, West Ham have agreed a fee in the region of £18 million plus add-ons for Saeed Benrahma of Brentford. The midfielder, according to reports, will undergo a medical on Wednesday. The Algerian international is currently away on duty with his country and has blatantly been one of the most standout players in the championship, and has been on the radar of several Premier League clubs over the past summer window. A deal, like I said, has apparently been agreed between West Ham and Brentford for worth up to about £30 million. But Benrahma hasn't signed off on personal terms yet, but supposedly the deal is going to be about £18 million up front, like I said, with add-ons. And as I've mentioned, October the 16th, which is Friday, is the deadline for players to sign from the EFL, meaning West Ham have got a little bit of time to get this deal done, and we should get this deal done. Let's have a look at Benrahma. He's undoubtedly was one of Brentford's best players last season, helping them to the Championship finals, where they obviously lost to Fulham. He scored 17 goals last year and 9 assists, and he was one of the most productive players in the whole division. He's also one of those players who are probably bound to make the step up to the Premier League and hopefully make it a success, and hopefully that is going to be with West Ham. The season before that, though, he did score 10 goals and he also got 14 assists, and so far this season, out of the two, he's scored 2 goals from 3 games, both goals coming from the EFL Cup. So let's just take a look at, and see what makes Benrahma so good. He has one of the most important traits as a winger. He's an exceptional dribbler. His relatively low centre of gravity helps him elude defenders. He attempts an average of 10 dribbles per game with a success rate of 50%, nearly half of those dribbles he is successful in moving forward. He is quick, dynamic and incredibly skillful, which makes him very hard to deal with opposing defenders. Benrahma thrives the most when given the creative freedom to express himself, so having the protection of Souček and Rice behind him would definitely benefit him. Now, fans may call me and say to me, what about Fornals? Fornals has been playing perfectly great and we can't drop him. I agree with you, we can't drop Fornals, but we need to give Fornals his chance, and Benrahma is going to be the player that will step into that potential position and hopefully hit the ground running. But I mean, it's not just all about Fornals, because Benrahma can play in that 10 role, but can also play on the wing. Under the Brentford manager, Thomas Frank, he plays a sort of free role, which means he dribbles across the final third, creating chances for himself and his teammates. And that shows when Brentford's stats. I mean, I think they were the highest goal scorers in the Championship last year. And that is a kind of similar role than, I'm not making a comparison, but I'm just letting you know it's a similar role that Lionel Messi plays, like at Barcelona, the free role, and creates opportunities for himself and his teammates. His passing is very strong as well. He's more than capable of switching the play to the opposite flank or make a penetrating pass to the striker. He's especially talented against tight defences, which tend to play a low block. Benrahma specialises in long shots also, and scoring 4 goals from outside the box last season. So I've mentioned there about switching flanks, and you've got someone on one flank, Bowen, who would thrive upon that, penetrating passes, and you can see the two of them potentially being frightening in going forward. As for weaknesses in his game, though, the one that stands out is his defensive work rate. You can say that as a weakness, but it's up to you, sometimes these players don't need to offer the full package in terms of tracking back, and we all know that David Moyes wants a hard-working player. He does not make too many of his recovery runs, which can be a downside when he's deployed in a counter-pressing system. Also, he sometimes does go a little overboard with his tricks during dribbling, which results in him losing possession in dangerous positions in the pitch from where the opposition can launch a counter-attack, and he needs to work on that with his decision-making. But like you said, like we've all said, you've got a protective players as Souček and Rice, and I do think we lack that really strong creative element. We've lost it lot with Lanzini. Anderson's now gone from the side, and people will call for why we sick bringing in another winger when apparently we have 8 and we sold Diangana. But for me, Diangana, I do think if you compare the two, I realistically on paper, I get that Diangana is the youth prospect, and I want West Ham to bring through the youth prospects. But on paper, if West Ham weren't in this situation, I think a lot of fans would probably want to take the risk on Benrahma, because I think, yeah, okay, there's a risk, but there could be a selling factor as well. You know, he's young enough for West Ham to maybe make it not to work. And if it doesn't work, then West Ham could potentially sell on for a value. And if it does work, it's something that would pay off. And let's just hope it's not a kind of stepping stone to somewhere else. Let's have a look at some other of Benrahma's thing. He actually ranked first for shots on target in the Championship with 64 last season. He ranked first for dribbles attempted in the full season, 251 attempts at dribbles, and like I said to you, the stats are reading nearly 50% of them are successful. His final third passes completed 746, and he ranked first again in the Championship. He ranked 6th for goals with 17 goals and 6th for assists with 9. So, you know, listen, what do you think of this potential deal? I am all for Benrahma coming to West Ham. You believe what you want to read, etc. You know, the rumour is stating that Moyes may be more interested in another player who we'll talk about in a minute. And David Sullivan is interested in bringing Benrahma to the club. I've said all along, I don't mind when an owner brings a player to the manager, as long as the manager signs off on the player. And the player we can talk about from previous history is Dimitri Payet to Slaven Bilic, because Slaven Bilic physically said that he was brought by Payet, and he did know about him, and he was like, absolutely bring him in if there's a deal to be struck. So Benrahma could offer us that tricky style of player, that creative mindset in the middle of the park that we've so desperately missed when Payet obviously left the club. So it'll be an interesting one, potentially an exciting one, and definitely, yeah, I look forward to seeing if he does sign on the dotted line, which hopefully will be over the next few days when he does return from international duty. Get your comments in below and let me know your thoughts on Benrahma potentially signing for West Ham. Next up, we've done a video on this guy, but it may not fill you with so much joy, but West Ham will need to come up with a bid of around £4 million to sign Watford defender Craig Dawson. We're supposedly turning our attention to him, to the veteran, you could call him, centre-half, who's 30, who doesn't fit that mould of the Red Bull mould, the youth mould, the blueprint that David Moyes wants to do. But we failed with a series of bids for more expensive defenders during the main transfer window, and we can't get any of them over the line. So the ex-West Brom defender, Dawson, has always been on the list of options, apparently, for David Moyes, and having been unable to bring in players, it now looks like he is potentially going to be our main priority for the defence. You know, Watford paid £4 million for the West Brom, when he was at West Brom, for Dawson a year ago, and they're obviously looking to get their money back, and it looks like, you know, Championship clubs are doing better deals than the Premier League clubs, or i.e. West Ham, for recouping some of the fee that they paid. But something interesting for you to look at when it comes to Craig Dawson is, you know, for his whole career, he's played over 160, 70 games in the Premier League, and, you know, he's not actually had a single error leading to goal in his whole career, in the Premier League, that is. So I'm not suggesting to you that he is the answer to our defensive problems, but I think that if West Ham are looking to shore up that defence a little bit more, with the Diop, Ogbonna and Balbuena potentially being in front of him, and the potential for Winston Reid coming back in January, then, you know, we need to bolster that squad. And yes, okay, I want the youth to come through, I absolutely do, but for some reason, it just doesn't seem to happen at West Ham. I'm more excited about Alessi than I would be for Dawson. But at the end of the day, if he does come to West Ham, we need to back him. That's it at the end of the day. 6'2". He's, like I said, he's 30 years old, and he started his career at Radcliffe Borough. He went to Rochdale, he went to West Brom, playing over 190 appearances, scoring 14 goals. He went out on loan back to Rochdale, Bolton Wanderers, and like I said, in the last year has been at Watford. He played for England under 21 level and also represented Great Britain at the London Olympics back in 2012, making 3 appearances. So I'm not so sure on the Dawson one, but I think I can see him potentially coming in, and it's not going to be an inspiring signing for West Ham. Get your comments in let me know your thoughts on Craig Dawson. Last up, apparently West Ham have had a £13 million bid offer for Josh King of Bournemouth rejected. We were knocked back in our first move for King, so apparently the rumour is that Moyes is interested in King and it's Sullivan that's interested in Benrahma. And I don't know if there's a battle starting to come out about saying, listen, I want this guy, this is what you need to go ahead and do. The rumour that Benrahma is looking at potentially getting £60,000 a week in comparison to what Josh King is rumoured to be asking for, which is about £90,000 a week. But let me kind of talk you through what you could get for £90,000 a week. And I think Bournemouth are currently valuing King at £17.5 million. So he's 28 years old, Norwegian international. He's banged in 17 goals for the Norway international side out of 50 appearances. He did start his career off in the Manchester United back in 2009. He never made a full debut for the first team squad. He went out on loan to Preston North End, to Borussia Mönchengladbach, Hull City and Blackburn Rovers, and really only scored goals for when he did score a couple of goals for Borussia Mönchengladbach, but he scored a collective amount of goals on his whole loan period of being like 5 or 6 goals over that time before he made his move permanently to Blackburn Rovers, where he never had the most successful time in the Championship until Bournemouth signed him. So he has actually scored 48 Premier League goals for Bournemouth and has got 14 assists. Those stats read that he's involved in a goal in one in every 2.5 games. Every 2.5 games, you can expect Josh King to either step up and score a goal or assist a goal. So since joining in the summer of 2015, he would like an immediate return to the top flight after obviously Bournemouth were relegated back in the summer. Last season, King only scored 6 league goals, but that return came from just 13 shots on target in 24 starts, having missed the whole of January with a muscle tear. His strength is carrying the ball into dangerous areas, ranking 16th in the Premier League for dribbles attempted, while his regular bursts of pace pose a constant threat for opposition defenders. Listen, we know all about Josh King. He scored a few goals against West Ham, so we know what he's capable of. Last season, his top speed was just over 36.6 kilometres per hour and just a whisker off the 37.7 kilometres per hour achieved by the Wolves speedster Adama Traore. So we know what it's like to have pace in the forward line. And, if West Ham aren't going to strengthen our defence, we know we're going to have to outscore our defences with our forward line. Indeed, plenty of clubs are chasing King and are likely to find his versatility appealing, having played in every conceivable attacking role last term, left, right and centre. His defensive stats, though, are also impressive, with 6.8 duels won per game, with the majority of his action occurring down the left flank in the middle third. A perfect area for transitional fast breaks, which is obviously what we like to do. King also ranked 15th in the league for possessions won in the attacking third, 9.4 per game, revealing he would help press from the front. So he's a hard-working forward. Like I said to you, in a lot of appearances in the Premier League with a lot of goals. How many players can you actually say have scored nearly 50 goals in the Premier League in 5 seasons? Like, that's an impressive feat for a guy that's playing for a side that in the last couple of years have been struggling in the Premier League and of course got relegated. So I wonder if he plays in a better side, would it make a difference? I don't know. Will West Ham go back in and try and meet the valuation with Bournemouth to make it £17.5 million? The agent is apparently stating that Josh King is looking to get £90,000 a week, which is a lot of money, but he has got Premier League experience. He is 28 years old though, however, and he is 6'2", so he's a big lad up top. And we do need a recruit in the forward line. What do you think of Josh King potentially coming into West Ham? For me, if West Ham could end up this transfer window bringing in Benrahma, Josh King and Dawson, would I be happy? I'd be definitely happier than where I was this time last week. So was there anyone out there in the European market that was disappointed we didn't get? Yeah, a few players, absolutely. But, and that, like I said, that probably stems back to the defence when we could have looked at maybe players like Ta, and obviously the whole story about Kamori from Chelsea, which fell through at the final hurdle. But at the end of the day, do I think we've got within reason, strengthen the defence to prepare ourselves for a January transfer window to maybe strengthen that defence. Ogbonna, Diop, Balbuena, potentially Dawson, Alessi in the background. I mean, I wish Alessi could come through sooner rather than later, but for some reason the Premier League managers don't fancy the youth at that setup. There's only 5 substitutions that can be brought in per squad, matchday squad. So get your comments in and let me know your thoughts. Obviously, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, get the comments in and let me know your thoughts on all 3 players I've mentioned. West Ham have agreed a fee with Brentford for Benrahma. Looks like he might be coming to the club, and maybe hopefully we'll find that out on Wednesday. Craig Dawson is very close, apparently, coming to the club, and West Ham are now toying with the idea whether to go back in and make another bid for Josh King. My name's Ben Anton, this is Irons United. Come on, you Irons.